welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to the final episode of the CryptoNoobz podcast for this year, 2025. I'm your host, NelsonRecardo.x, and I'm here with my co-host.
Lamont Astwood, aka Crypto Lambo.
And on this episode, we're going to give you guys the highlight reel of this year for CryptoNoobz. We want to talk about all the different things that we did this year, how it actually impacted people, how we had actually changed the game, some of the conversations that we've had with experts, and even much more. So, without further ado, welcome to the final episode of the CryptoNoobz podcast of 2025. Let's get it. So, looking back on this year, I gotta say, like, I'm not really happy. You know, Lamont, I want to know, like, what do you think? How do you think this year was for us?
Yeah, this year was great. We covered a lot of traction. We gained a lot of momentum. So we really like building with our community. We had some live events, which is really important when you get putting your face out there into the community and you're actually taking a lot of those big steps. That's really important. And I go back to community, like we built up a lot of community, we built a lot of connections and a relationship with the community. It isn't just, all right, these are followers. No, now these are supporters, our network. These are people who actually engage with us. We engage back and forth. Because I believe a relationship is a two-way street. Support is a two-way street. So that was actually something when I really credited ourselves. We really were consistent with the podcast. Even on nights where we was tired or early mornings, we still would be in bed. We still recording. We still bringing all, we finding gas networking. And just keep up the momentum, because most podcasts don't make it past a certain amount of episodes. I'm sure we passed that amount. So definitely, we did a lot. We did a lot.
Yeah, we broke past. There's a statistic that most podcasts don't even get past 21 episodes, and we actually went way past that this year. Like we kept it up on a weekly basis, and just as you said, we had some really great episodes, some really educational episodes, and we even would have gotten some interesting guests part of it as well. So looking back at 2025, what was the moment that you realized CryptoNoobz was becoming like more than just a podcast? We started in 2024 with this podcast, and now we are something. But what do you think that we are now?
I always felt like once we keep up the momentum and we really bring our thoughts and we really keep at it, it would grow. But one big moment was when your friends putting him on Creators Alliance. That was like, all right, we do have a place because we was the ones who me and you were the one who kind of like broke ground on, hey, this is a scam. It's like, all right, now we have a place. All right, let's keep this up because now it's going to be other scams you get exposed over time. Like this, they're on the first and they won't be the last, unfortunately. But fortunately, we're here. Yeah, so that was really one of the big moments. It's like, all right, yeah, we definitely have a place. Beyond that, we have a lot of information, but it's like, if there's anything, you should watch us because of that.
That was the biggest. I think that was our biggest moment for this year.
Yeah,
I think that was our. For those of you who don't know what that is, you can check out our Creators Alliance scam video to really get a deep dive into what that was. Basically, a huge scam came to the Bahamas as well as other Caribbean nations, and in that video, you're gonna learn like what we did to actually like protect people from that. That was definitely our biggest moment of this year. And I think like we gained a lot of momentum and a lot of trust after that. Like, but now, what do you think was our biggest win for this year?
Well, that's a good question. Because we had a lot of wins. We had like the events. I consider those wins. When we was able to actually reach out and get a lot of like people who are in the industry on our podcast, I consider all of those wins. And we did a lot of stuff behind the scenes to lay the foundation for the next year, but I still consider wins. So I think we just been piling up win on top of win on top of win. What about you? What do you think?
I think for one win I especially really enjoyed was our Bitcoin Pizza Day as well as a wallet workshop. The reason being is I like the fact that we were growing in the digital space, but it's something different about like actually having IRL events like in real life, because a lot of people still really didn't understand crypto or trust crypto. So it was like a different type of vibe, getting them out in person, teaching them like how to actually get their own crypto wallets. And then even like on our Bitcoin Pizza Day, that was just strictly for our community members.
Yeah.
And what we did is like we went out and we like basically purchased some pizzas and all that and whatnot. We actually hanged out and chilled and all that good stuff. And it was good. It was a real chill event and real just good vibes, good people, good energy. And I think that's what's needed, like to understand this is a community. We are bringing people together,
That's it. That's it. So what do you think? Let's go to the other side of that coin. What do you think is a fail? If you could call something a fail or whatever, what do you think is something that either I don't like to say fail. What is a lesson we learned from probably a setback? Because I have one burning on top of my head, and I think you probably it isn't really like I don't consider it like a major setback. Well, it was a setback, it isn't nothing you can recover from.
Yeah, it was several. I'm not gonna lie. We had several setbacks. We had several lessons that we needed to learn. One of the biggest lessons was definitely one of the biggest lessons was definitely like actually building probably like newsletters and things like that. Because how we lost the Instagram.
Yeah. I started about to top of my mind.
Like, how we lost Instagram. It's crazy, bro.
But that shows you, and I saw an entrepreneur say something like that before, right? He was like, you have to try to get people to interact either with your personal app or whatever, because when you build your entire presence on these social media platforms, you're at their mercy. So like this advice for a lot of creators. If you're just on TikTok or whatever, that's the only platform you're known as. If TikTok wake up tomorrow and decide to be combine you, if you was making all your income from that, that's your soul. That's basically shop shut down. like so it just goes that you can't be too vulnerable, especially in this digital age like that.
And that was crazy because we to our knowledge we did what Instagram access to do, find information and what's not, and they shut down Instagram saying something about we were not who we said we were or something like that. And it's like, okay, how do we say it? Like, what information do you want from us? Like, give them everything. They still shut it down. I strongly believe it isn't so much because of something else. I think it's just because we got crypto inside. I think that when it comes to certain platforms, especially when it comes to cryptocurrency, they're very skeptical. They're very wary of that particular title inside of it. So it still shows us that we still have growing to do. But that was like one of the biggest lessons. I feel like we have to learn other lessons. We learned how much like people actually really do want like that in-person reaction. We realize, being in a digital space is cool, but people actually want to see people in real life. We learned tons of lessons from some of the guests that we brought on, like notably, we learned about basically like building your online presence from Keron Rose. There's that episode. Then, we would learn a lot about, building your crypto business or application or whatever from Daria, also called Dasha. There's that episode. And even when we would learn more about who it was now, the Bitcoin economy and the circle economy with Bitcoin with Jake Saford from Airbnb, like literally like they're making Airbnbs that accept Bitcoin and different leisures that just purely accept Bitcoin. So it's like it's really interesting to see what some people are doing. And once again, shout out to even like our Whisper gang. They're building like apps inside the Web3 space that actually help with marketing and what's not. So it was really interesting to learn those things,
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of real life application, real life lessons. And when you could actually go out and touch people in the community, like you're not just, all right, talking about these people, we're actually getting these people to appear on our podcast, actually interact with our community. That's powerful because now you have, like, you directly tapped in, you directly linked in with the community. So all things like that, I really like, that's something what I'm really proud that we was able to get over start doing in 2020, 25.
You know what? One of my biggest regrets was though. One of my biggest regrets is though when we had that Creators Alliance situation. I'll be honest, like that would have been the perfect time to possibly sell something or really hammer down on the whole scabs situation. Like, at the time, unfortunately, we didn't. At the time, it was just at the time we just did not. We were not ready for the impact that would have had. So definitely moving forward, we're gonna be like building to make sure that the next moment, the next big moment, we're ready for it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's just goes in learning, learning curves and all that.
So, what was your favorite episode recorded for this year? Like,
My favorite episode, you probably know, is the. I mean, I appreciate all of our guests, and we got something from all of our guests, right? We learned a lot from all of them. But I mentioned, like, even when we finished recording, I think it's because we had 3 Caribbean guys on it. Keron Rose, like, because it's probably 3 Caribbean guys, it didn't feel like a podcast. It felt like we just had the bar having a conversation, like to some degree we understand each other, and while we appreciate all cultures, it's like, you know, when you're speaking to someone who come from the same background as you, a similar background, it really does add a different perspective. And I learned a lot from that, like even as far as like into monetization. And I still didn't know we could get monetized in the Caribbean. But like Keron was like, listen, it's just a lack of information. Like he answered a lot of our questions before we even got a chance to ask the questions. Like, yeah, that was a really great episode. That was I could say that was probably something I walk away living a lot from. Whilst we learned a lot from everyone, that one really stuck out to me.
I would also agree. Keron definitely brought the fire when it came to that particular conversation. I do think that it really is because of the Caribbean connection. You know,
Yeah.
Another person who I gotta say really like dropped a whole lot of information would have been Daria. The reason why I say that is because Daria, or Dasha as she calls herself, would have definitely talked about like building inside of the space, and will kind of open our eyes to what it takes to actually build a company inside of the crypto space, like building a crypto company. And I think like where she actually like talked about how although you feel as if you're cool and you have this cool app, you have to understand that there's a business side of it. But she also said, you know, even if you don't have the monetization ready, there's a lot of places that you could go to that will be willing to fund whatever ideas you have. And that's something that is, I wouldn't say that it's unique to the crypto space. I would say that it is something that is kind of, you know, mind blowing, because it's like, okay, us in the Caribbean, we know when it comes to finding funding for certain projects, that could be somewhat difficult because like it's a whole lot that you have to do, and sometimes funding can be scarce.
Yeah.
Now, here is it where globally, just because you are in the space and you're working on a project, there are so many people in crypto who are willing to help you out. And I think like just knowing that information was a game changer. You know, if you want to build some sort of app that's gonna push the industry, people are more than willing to join you in building it. And I think like that's a huge deal. You know, just as you said, you know, we appreciate every single guest that came on, of course, and we learned from all of them. You know, even I think I even forgot to mention what's your friend, the recruiter.
Owen, yeah, Owen gives a lot of good insight on how to maneuver the space if you're trying to work in the space for sure.
Yeah, and he really showed like how was it that you could get jobs and how you could actually prepare yourself for jobs. And inside crypto, it just seems you actually get more opportunities the more you show up in the space, the more that you just work on something and that you just like put it out there and you just join inside the different communities. People are gonna get to know you in the communities, and then they're gonna want to work with you. And I gotta say, you know, the jobs actually pay very handsome.
Yeah.
What do you think is the most interesting change we've made? Got changed the way we did things in 2024 versus 2025? Because I could think of one at the top of my head, and we're doing it right now.
Okay, I think I might know the one that you're talking about as well,
Yeah.
but I'm not gonna go for that one. Let me show you what I'm gonna go for. The number one change I think that we did that made the most sense is that we switched from an education company to a media company. The reason for this distinction is this, right? Education is good. Education is very important, and we're still big on education. That is something that we are still offering, something that we are want to package into offerings, right? But switching more to a media model actually makes the most sense, because media scales very widely, and honestly, it can scale relatively fast.
Yes.
Good content is still needed, and as you continue to push out more and more content, more and more eyes, more and more people that you could reach. Whereby with education gets difficult because education is everywhere. Educate literally, like that was the hardest part. Like education is everywhere, and it's like, so why should someone pay for your education if someone could just use ChatGPT to get it? So now you have to find a way to tweak whatever it is that you're educating about to make it more than just the education. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes that can be very difficult. It can be kind of a hard sell to say why you should purchase XYZ course, or why you should purchase this particular in-person event or what's not. Versus with media, as we continue into have these conversations, people really start to feel your vibe, people start to understand, and then you could still, you know, do something with the education on the back end.
Yeah.
What about for you? Like, what do you think? What is one of the biggest changes that we would have done that you think that is worth it?
I agree with that. Because realistically, when you're trying to reach people, most of it should be is a mixture of education as well as entertainment. and you have to entertain people in a way that they'll stay around to be educated, because let's say how much, like, we don't really go and watch too much university lectures online, even though that's very educational. We will go and watch someone make a video or documentary explaining us the same concept, once it's in a way that we could actually understand and follow along and keeps us engaged. As simple as like, you have to term like, not to say, I don't even know, I don't even want to say it like that, right? But when we used to do the live in-person podcast, even though that's not off the table, like if we have like a venue or a certain guest he's flying in or whatever, definitely we could arrange that. That's something we'll do. But what I found is when we start doing like the ones with the webcams, it's like sometimes quantity can be quality because it's like that's with the consistency. Because how often were we doing the in-person podcast?
We were doing that. I think that we were doing that like once a month, like Stefano, once every 2 months, one or two. I mean, and they were much more like it was way harder because like you had to kind of find our sketches align. You had to pay for a videographer. You had to find a venue. Then it's like, and then it's like when you go to certain venues, they were like, oh yeah, so you can't use our venue to record. So now you got to go and try to find a newer venue and things like that. Like even when we find a venue, I think one time we even tried to do it at like my church. And it's like, as we came in, we now have to go and like move the chairs and all of that so that we could, go and record it. And after that, like we all sweaty about the dude.
You. And I say that, I'm not saying that to say we try to make it too easy or we just don't want to do the work. It's just that we just was trying to be more efficient with our time. That's what it is, just trying to be more efficient, because that's basically something I really kind of pride ourselves on, because now we could produce more content and we could give people more value at a higher rate. Now we could do this every week instead of us doing it once a month. Yes, I like this format better, but we definitely, when like we have a few guests who plan to travel out, we definitely have a few studios, Nelson knows studios, we definitely gonna have those in-person podcasts. But
Just that, it's not to cut you off, and not only that, it's even more expensive.
yeah, I didn't even get into that. I didn't want to get into that. You got to pay a videographer. You got to rent out the place. You got to do this, do that.
You're paying for you're paying for service fees. You're paying for the venue. You're also paying to make sure. You're also paying, even for like the cameras, like that whole damage fee type situation. Like, thank God that the videographers that we worked with were like people who really wanted to kind of help push us.
Yeah.
So shout out to them. Shout out to Gerard Cartwright from Rod Studios. And then even with my boy named Owen and Thomas Robinson, he was the first person to give us a shot. Like he recorded the video like absolutely for free, brought his equipment, even edited. So our very first episode was done by Thomas Robinson. So shout out to Thomas, like this thing we had learned very, very quickly that when you want to do the whole podcasting thing, it could cost a pretty penny. And I guess like this is why like a lot of other podcasters, they like invest heavily into their equipment and own cameras and like their own spaces, because it's like, it saves them money in the long run, but hard to die. Like
Like, a lot of people, when they see podcasts, they think it's just, all right, these two guys are sitting now talking, but they don't realize there was so much moving parts behind the scenes to get us sitting down on a couch or whatever, having a conversation. It's like,
on the editing. Oh my God.
oh yeah. Editing, I remember. Hey, no, I don't know. It's like, that's a whole other thing. That's time, energy, money, all of that. And now we could spend more time, energy, and money actually focusing on making sure we bring in valuable content, and it's better because now, not to say we don't have crypto professionals or people who were interviewing in the Bahamas, but now it's like, all right, we could talk to somebody who's halfway across the world. When we talk to Owen lives in Ireland, like I can't remember what time it was. I think that was morning for us. Owen was almost getting ready to go to bed. Like, so now it allows much more flexibility.
So that would lead me to my next question. Like, what do you think that we got right about building this crypto brand from the Bahamas? And what do you think that we got wrong?
I know what we got right was, going back, we built a community. We staying on top of people's minds, and we do the live sessions. For those of you who don't know, we do like bi-weekly Sunday live sessions. And so people who are in our community, they log in. And I'm actually really impressed because to keep people entertained or to keep people engaged on a Sunday night, everyone's trying to get, on a Sunday night, you're trying to get in as much fun as you could. before you have to go to work Monday morning, and for you to spend that time with us, I really appreciate. That's really appreciative. And we've seen people grow, like who started like early in the year. They might have not even have no crypto. Now they actually have a portfolio, and their portfolio is doing really well. And to see that progression is like that's really inspiring. Like he's giving all that. That's really inspiring to see someone go from they don't know anything about crypto to now they asking me about a coin that I don't even know about. Hey, Lamont, I saw this and they do this protocol. And I'm like, what?
I absolutely love that because it's like it's so. See, the hardest thing is to go, and this is with like anyone who is still afraid or skeptical of cryptocurrency or stuff, right? And we want you to know that we specialize in helping you go from 0 to 1. The hardest thing to do is to go from 0 to 1, and that all it takes is downloading a crypto exchange app, making your first purchase in any type of coin or whatnot, and allow yourself that to be the beginning of your journey. Invest something inside of it. This isn't financial advice, bro. But invest something inside of it. Get a feel for it. And now as we get a feel for it, we're now going to be able to ask more questions, get more in depth with stuff, right? I think one of the best things is when you could see people from our private community, right? When you could see people actually downloading the Binance app and they're just actually purchasing their crypto and they're happy because they've made that first step. And then when they come back, they say, yo, I see my money actually going up. Like, like they're now researching coins. They're looking at different things to invest in, what's not. They're looking at now, okay, now I have a portfolio.
Yeah.
I now have my money inside a portfolio and I'm watching my assets. Like most Caribbean people, especially, don't even like know about like having these kinds of assets that appreciate. I'm not doing anything. I'm just letting my money, if it goes down, it goes down. If it goes up, it goes down. I mean, if it goes up, it goes down. Yeah. But that's really what it is because it's like, yo, people like I saw someone sharing this post about a Bahamian bike, right? And how like the service fees outweigh the interest that the bike gives you for keeping your money inside of the bike. And it was so interesting because it's like, yo, while you out here skeptical of cryptocurrency, don't want to get inside of it or what's not, but you want to keep your money inside the bank. Not to say that banks don't have their place, of course, right? But you're watching your service fees outweigh the interest that you get for keeping the money inside the bank. However, we're on this side, we have our money inside cryptocurrencies where they go up and down based on the market. Sometimes they would go a little bit lower, right? But over time, usually for a lot of coins, especially a lot of the top 10 cryptocurrencies, their value appreciates over time.
Yeah.
And I consistently say this, Bitcoin, even if you don't trust any other cryptocurrency and don't want to dive that deep and you don't have to have the time. And that's totally okay. You don't have to be a trader. But Bitcoin just by itself, you actually can put your money inside of Bitcoin and just leave it alone. You don't even have to watch it. You could do something called dollar cost averaging. You can just continue to put your money inside of it, like every month or so. So just set aside a certain amount to put inside of it, right? And what you're going to do is you're going to watch not only your money is going to appreciate, right? But because your dollar cost averaging, you're adding more and more into it. So now Bitcoin that goes up on average 49% each year. That's the average percentage gain by just investing in Bitcoin. Like the value of it goes up 49% per year on average. But yet you want to keep it inside the $1,000 that's inside of your bike by the end of the year. It's going to be much less than $1,000. However, you put $1,000 inside Bitcoin and you don't even dollar cost average. You just absolutely leave it alone and what's not. Literally, you're going to see that you're going to have that the value of it is going to be much more than $1,000 now.
Yeah. Trust me. I used to work at a bank, right? I used to work at a commercial bank. And I remember I was like answering phones, right? So someone called me one day and they was like, what is the interest rate on your savings account? I see this going up. This interest rate is I told this person, I told this woman live. I mean, I don't know what got into me that day. I said, miss, it really don't matter. I just told her like it really doesn't matter. Like the gas money you're gonna spend to come to the bank to take that up and go to the ATM. Well, yeah, unless you're talking about millions of dollars, I was like, that whatever interest you would have earned is gonna be going for that gas money. Like I tell this woman, I don't want to sound bad. Some people may say, oh, well, once I get employed, I might not be, but I was like, this, it really don't matter. I just had to keep it real. Like, I said, you asking me, I about to go check this.
That's the thing, but it's like, we preach it, some listen, some don't, and whichever way on the spectrum you are, it's totally okay, because at the end of the day, we just gotta continue to do this, we gotta continue to do, right? But it's like, it still baffles me.
Yeah, it does.
But now, so that was like that was what we got right in building the crypto brand. What do you think from the Bahamas? What do you think that we got wrong building it from the Bahamas?
I don't want to say we got it wrong, but it's just that as a new company, we kind of like just learning things along the way. Because you gotta understand, we didn't have like a lot of blueprint with the day. So it was kind of like, we just kind of like rolling with the punches, really just figuring it out as we go. And that's a part of entrepreneurship in general. Like most entrepreneurs will tell you that, like they just kind of the punches and adapt. And I think we're really good at adapting. But I wouldn't say like we had anything what I consider like hard losses or whatever. Because I mean, we grew up, we learned a lot. That's ultimately what you want to do year over year. You don't want to stay in the same place you was last year. Even if you take some L's, you might have learned something from that L and be carried into the next season. But that's kind of like my view on that.
Yeah, I think where we would have gone wrong in building from the Bahamas, I can't even say that we went wrong with it, but it's more like we doubled down. We realized something, and now like we want to like double down on it. Once again, like I keep agreeing with you. A lot of this stemmed from that Creators Alliance situation. Once again, y'all go watch that episode. That was a whole saga. Go watch that episode. Right. What I realized was how many Caribbean countries are all facing the same issue, and what we now want to do is we really want to double down in the Bahamas as well as in the Caribbean, because we're realizing that we are the ones who are actually having that particular issue when it comes to banking and payments and fintech in general. In addition to that, even scam awareness, like we don't know like what's a scam from not a scam. Even now with AI, it's even becoming harder to tell. Like we have reached a place now where someone can call you from someone you know's number. They can actually give a call from their number and then have them speaking to you in their voice that they would have trained the AI to speak just like that person. And now like this person is saying, hey, like basically say your mom is calling you. Hey, I just need you to send this amount of money. I really need it like right now. It's a matter of urgency. And it's like, you're thinking it's your mom. Whole time it's like a totally different person, which is AI trained to your mom's voice and calling from your mom's number. And right now, I was reading up on it. It's like we're now in the age of sophistication. A lot of money isn't going to be lost from like say hacking or something. It's going to be lost from social engineering.
Yeah, because even like going back to that same episode, Keron, right? Where Keron said, now you have AI. Back in the day, they used to talk about the Nigerian friend scam. Oh, I have this money. If you send this, I give you. They used to tell you like, you have $1 million. If you send me $10,000, you got $1 million. Why not take it from me? Used to do that scam back in the day, and some people used to get caught with it. But now you have situations where you have influential people, especially in the Bahamas, pretty much is not a big country. Everyone knows everybody. So like they will take a well-known person in a position of power who has status like in the financial industry, and they could doctor an AI video of them saying, hey, we have this investment, blah, blah, that's the website here, blah, blah, blah. And the person in the video never said that. They never said that. They never did anything like that. So people, like, I remember one time, I'm not going to call the name of the individual, they person, and he gave X amount of money, you get so much money back. People were messaging me, asking me, it's legit. And I was like, no, it's not. No, it's not. But scams have gotten a lot more complex. When I say complex, they've gotten a lot more like elaborate. They like go back to what you say, social engineering. These people, they work hard to try to get money from people. Like I remember one time a crypto company was like, not even a crypto company, just a guy's like, all right, we're looking for a developer and all that. I tell him, I say, listen, I can't do the work. Then he's like, I can still send you the files. You can look at them. I go on, install the files. All of a sudden, one of my wallets open up on my crypto account. Now the thing is, I didn't keep money on that particular wallet. that was the beauty of it. But they were trying to like scam me. They were trying to get my money. So it's like, you got to be really careful. And going back to like even fake accounts, right? People, they use fake accounts to me all the time. And not Sarah, you ain't make it until you have a fake account. Do whatever. Well, I must have made it many times over. I must have Diddy level of fame. All I have is fake accounts. I have 50 Cent Diddy level of fame. All I have is fake accounts.
I don't think that's the pay we want, man.
No. I think that's the fame you want. Yeah, be that type of famous. But I was remember one time me and a friend, we sitting down having a lunch, like we just eating lunch together. And an account messenger, basically pretending to be the account messenger asking about Bitcoin. And we're literally sitting at lunch together and is messaging her, asking her about Bitcoin. Then another one where they messaged my cousin, and my cousin called me and he's like, hey, that wasn't you. Because he's like, you're not going to talk. We're cousins. We don't talk to each other like I don't talk to him. We're cousins, right? It was just so funny. Like, these scams get elaborate.
As I said, they no one safe, buddy.
No one's safe.
So, what's an uncomfortable truth that we learned about growing the small brand in Island Nation? Well, no, growing this brand in a small island nation. What's a really uncomfortable truth?
An uncomfortable truth, it goes back to what I said, like, it's a small nation, everyone knows each other and moves travels fast. So in that case, and I'm not trying to like throw no blame, right? That FTX situation. Now it does present an opportunity because now we're the ones who can educate people and keep them abreast of what's going on. But a lot of people still have that taste of what happened in their mouth because that was such a big debacle. And how it impacted us, like I also say, is like we took 10 steps forward and probably 50 steps back with that situation, right? So me and Nelson, we're closing the gap. We're closing the gap to try to get people on board and let people understand, like, hey, there was some bad actors, with some bad acting going on, but it doesn't really condemn the industry as a whole.
Yes. I mean, that's what you want.
That's what people think of everybody in crypto. All they are a bunch of scammers trying to get. And it's like, whilst those people exist, it's like you do have people who are doing honest work. You have people who are actually building real stuff out there, you know? And if you join a community like ours, you will definitely learn, you will definitely learn. But I think that has been kind of like a pushback because some people think like, oh, these guys probably trying to get their scam off. And it's like, let me tell you something. Like if you were trying to be a scammer, I got a upper podcast going me after me. I'm not trying to be, like I say, NASA too small. I am too easy to find to talk about scamming people. What about you?
Name, like an uncomfortable truth. What it was now? An uncomfortable truth about growing this brand in a small island nation. Yeah, like as you said, word travels fast. People believe each other before they believe, like, and what was like different. But like an uncomfortable truth I would say in growing this brand was we had to how can I say this? The word isn't diversify. It's we had to basically, for lack of better words, explain to people who we are and what is it that we actually do. I feel as if when people hear crypto, they immediately think crypto trade.
Yeah.
And it was like a lot of people hearing us talking about cryptocurrency was on the hope that we're just going to be teaching people how to trade and make these millions of dollars and all that good stuff, right? And I still feel as if we need to better convey that message because people still think that all we're about is we're going to come to you, we're going to ask you to pay us some money to teach you how to go and trade and then make all these millions of dollars. And I think that's where the misconception comes in about who we are and about what this is all about. That's what people are used to. And one of the things we try to educate people on is we teach people about cryptocurrency. We teach people about different fintech applications and solutions. And we also teach about like AI and tech, right? But primarily we teach about cryptocurrency. And what we teach is more like how to use it and things that are inside of the beginner realm, right? We're not financial advisors, or at least not yet, but that's what we actually teach. We teach people like how you can actually get started and, kind of continue doing. Like, yeah, we might give you some of the strategies that we know about, right? But it's not so much that we're teaching you like trading and what's not. And even with that, it's just a simple thing of not yet, you know. Um, so that was like a huge lesson because a lot of people would just come in saying, "Oh yeah, uh, I want to get to learn this crypto thing and what's not because I want to start making all this money." And it's like my guy. Most most I'm gonna need you to slow down, bro. Most of the wealthiest people in crypto made their wealth from actually just getting the coins area. You know, like that was where a lot of people who were inside crypto from like 2015 and before are the ones who are like super wealthy. And another thing that a lot of people, another misconception is that everybody in crypto made their money from trading, right? Now, and I want to make sure this is clear. You could make a lot of money from trading. I'm not even going to deny that. You can make a crap ton of money from trading. But trading is a skill. And even inside of our episode with Amar Harrison, right? We're going to learn about trading on that episode. Go and watch that episode because he breaks down some concepts about decentralized finance. And he's a trader, right? Trading takes time to learn because it is a skill. He compares it to learning a sport. You're not going to go on the basketball field and instantly be able to score several 3-pointers. No, that's going to take some time to build up to. And that's just like how trading is. You're going to be putting your money on the line. You're going to be losing a lot of money in the beginning. But as you get better, you're going to lose less money. And as you, once again, get more and more better, you'll eventually get to a place where you're winning at least consistently. You're still going to be losing. I'm not going to hold you, but you're going to be winning more consistently, right? And people need to understand that most of the wealthiest people in crypto actually made their wealth from buying crypto early and just holding it through the years. People are thinking, okay, like all these wealthy people in crypto, like did a whole bunch of this and that. It's like, no, they would have just held. That's it. That's what they did. They held. You know?
Yeah. Because even back on that episode, like Amar, he has this quote, and I think about this a lot. He's like, most people try to time the market, right? He says, time in the market is more important than timing the market. Just spending time in the market, actually like learning. If you're a person who, because let's be honest, being a trader takes time. And most of us, we live busy lives, we have stuff to do, we have other interests, right? So unless you really want to spend the amount of time you need to be a profitable trader, some people just prefer to find that hole. They research it, go and hold on to it, and have their receipts holding it. That's how you can see a lot of people actually build it, just like what Nelson said.
Yeah. And it's just a matter of communication, and we'll definitely be working more on that growth year 2026. Just so that people really understand, like, was it that we really offer you clarity when it comes to starting a crypto journey, be able to show you some of the different ways that you can possibly use crypto to make your life easier, and even make money, right? But it's more from a practical standpoint, an educational standpoint, rather than, hey, just trade it, you know. But we're still feeling your way out. So you guys, literally, once again, you guys can comment, tell us in the comments what is it that you want to learn, so that we can have a better understanding of what is it that you want to learn. We understand what it is that you can give. Let us know. Like, what was my next question would actually be, right? What was a moment this year where the community survived? What was a moment this year that the community was surprised?
Oh, Bitcoin peaks today. Bitcoin peaks today, and our live sessions. Like, I really must give it to them. Like, when you're talking to people online in the group chat, that's one thing, right? But when you're actually showing up in person, when you're taking time out of your day to show up to the event in person, and you could have been doing anything, that's what I know. Like, okay, this is a real connection. This isn't just online chat room. This is a real connection now. So that really surprised me. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is a real community right now. And just to see the support that they gave us, because they didn't have to trust us. They're like, all right, these two random guys online talking jive about crypto and all. All they just trying to scam us, but I must give it to them. They was willing to trust us and be there with us on the journey. And like I said in our last live session, I was like, listen, if I had more money, I would make like like a ring to give everybody, like these are initiation rings. Job was the first CryptoNoobz class of, the inaugural CryptoNoobz class, something like that. So something like that, I really must give it to them. I really appreciate that, and even all the support, like we got invited places, we were able to make great connections to our community, and they really helped us, A lot of them have stepped up and handled certain things. Like when me and Nelson weren't able to do something, you got people in our community who stepped up, guys like Ronaldo and all that, like they really stepped up. Ronaldo had the day, the day with Bethel was like, I don't do no debating. It's like, all right, if you want to debate on crypto behalf, all right, go right ahead. But, you know, uh, but stuff like that is really great, like just to see the whole community come together and we actually building something. That's when you get around a bunch of like-minded people.
Yeah, man. That's when you just listen. And I just as you said, I really do appreciate that because it's like when we actually had events, we could show up and people like really support it. And then even inside like the live body free sessions on the outside of our private WhatsApp community, it's like people really came out to learn on those sessions. We talked about like the AI, we talked about cryptocurrencies, we talked about like a lot of things. And I just love how people were actually engaging, people were actually feeling it. And it kind of surprised me, especially because it's just something about that moment where we are giving away the information and people are actually like receiving it and taking it and then learning from it. And they even started like personal learning journeys. The way they come back to you with new information. I'm like, yo, okay. All right, I see you. I see you. Used to that. That's great. That was what was up.
And stuff like that, it actually makes you work harder. You are actually reach more people because now it gives you that momentum and that motivation. You and just walking ourselves. Like,
Yeah, man. Things like that. Things like that. You say?
yeah. So when you say crypto for the culture, because like that's not our slogan. What do you mean by that?
So that was the other change we knew this year. Initially, CryptoNoobz slogan was everybody starts anew. And the reason for that is because we want to teach people that hey, it's okay to start as a beginner. A lot of people feel intimidated as beginners, and they do feel like sometimes it's a lot of information. So it's like we want to reassure them, hey, you just start as a beginner. And then what we would have done is we would have shifted to crypto for the culture. Everyone starts with crypto for the culture is something where it's like, oh, you realize this is bigger than just learning how to invest in crypto, learning how to use blockchain technology and what's not. We understand it as a people, a community, a cultural side to it. We want to teach you how to use crypto in a practical, everyday setting. Everybody thinks of crypto as just, I'm going to invest in Bitcoin, wait till it gets up, and then I'm going to sell so I can be rich. Yeah. But it's like people are also at the same time totally forgetting or totally just not realizing, hey, with crypto, you could use this in your day-to-day life. Us in the Caribbean who don't have access to cash out. Crypto is global money. I can send you money in seconds, no matter where you are. Once I have a Wi-Fi connection, I can send you cryptocurrencies anywhere with much less fees than Cash App or bank transfers or what's not. In crypto, you could actually send $1 million to another person for less than like $10 bucks. If a bank was involved inside that was not paying the fees. Then on top of that too, we also have something called decentralized finance, where you have access to banking like systems without needing to have a bank involved. Where you have staking, where okay, you could actually give the platform your crypto and let it hold the crypto on it. And for holding that crypto, they're gonna give you large interest on that crypto for like months or however long you want. Then there's like yield, where it's like you can lend people crypto for them to take on like risky investments. And when they take on those risky investments and they are profitable, they give you much higher portion than what you would have given them. So it's like you're learning all these different systems, right? Like some people look at crypto as, hey, I'm going to be trading and what's not. And it's like, yo, you could actually just put your money up and just let it grow, just like stocks or bonds or what's not. Or we could even use that to just send to people and pay for goods. We could actually pay for goods with crypto. People forget that crypto is a currency, despite it says cryptocurrency.
Yeah, trust me. Like when I think of the culture, it's more so is almost like a sub lifestyle, like I say, subculture, because It'll be times lost in his bomb in a hotel or restaurant. You see a guy walk in, be out on a share with Doshi on it. It's like, oh, he speaks in our language. Nobody used to on crypto knows it's got where support to Bushi. So it does feel like a little like no.
Yeah, that these are the type of things that we're trying to educate people with, and then even blockchain. The system that crypto runs on, blockchain is going to be helping out a lot of different businesses. If you are a business, now you have a system where everything on the system is always true and correct, and things move very fast. So just the ability to save that time is like, how many ways can be applied that? How many businesses can be applied at it? Say supply chain. If you want a piece of chicken, like, I won't get into too many details, right? But it's like you could actually like monitor something moving from one place to the next. And at every step of the way, you could actually have like real time analytics of that thing. And, it gets complicated, but it's like, I now know every single step. A chicken that was cut in Alabama, I do every single step of the way, how fresh that chicken is from Alabama all the way up to when it hit my grocery store inside the Bahamas. And it's like, how many business applications can you use that?
Yeah, sure. Hard, especially the supply chain stuff. It's much more supposed to be waste.
Yeah. So what do you hold on? So I would say that we are nearing the end, right? What I want to know is, like, what did the wallet workshop and the Bitcoin pizza events teach us about giving what they actually want?
I think people value connection because like us, they want connection to know like, all right, someone's there to either answer their questions or in a way like trying to solve their problems in a way. And what I mean by that is we live in a society, and I said this like a couple of times before. We live in a time where the world is more connected than ever, but more disconnected than ever. We have more people connecting from social media, digital apps, and we have people meeting up less in person. We have people not going out as much anymore, like in person as much anymore. That's not, people don't do that anymore, right? And that's like a lost art. Having a meetup, that's a lost art. And I think us being able to do that, it shows that we're just not a bunch of guys behind a keyboard and a screen. We're real people out in this world. I think people value that, and they value like, all right, there's a community they can depend on, or a community they come to when they need assistance with something, because human beings are social animals. We are social creatures. We want to fit in, but we want to usually fit into something that we believe in or something that we feel good to support, and I think that's something that really taught me something about community and taught me about like our whole network league and the people who follow us and people who support us. I don't even like to say people who follow us. I say who support us, because even if you follow, like and share, that adds to us overridden as a support really deeply value.
Yeah. I once again, it's like people are already in this full situation where it's like new technology. I don't trust it. I'm already skeptical of it, and there's no one that I can ask questions to. And it's like, when you actually put yourself out there as a community figure that they can actually ask those questions, they feel a lot more comfortable learning from it, and they earn that trust. I think the number one thing that we have gotten is people's trust when it comes to those things. Yeah.
So CryptoNoobz is evolving past education, right? It's going into media, community, technology. We're touching on AI and a bunch of different things, right? And we have a lot of plans for the future. So what do you think will shape how do you think we'll shape the culture? Not to say what we'll do, what do you think we'll do to shape the culture for 2026, or how the culture will be shaped by crypto in general and by our contribution to the industry? What do you think?
I think that's like starting off with the Bahamas. I think that more Bahamians are going to definitely understand the more updated tech. There's a huge hunger and a huge opportunity for a lot of these techs, with crypto, with AI, what's not, and other communities from more developed countries are already doing it. This information is already out there, but still a lot of people in our country and even inside the Caribbean in general still don't know about it. And, definitely gonna have some gatekeepers and all that good stuff. So what I think is going to shape the next era of the brand is community engagement. I think going real heavy into in-person events and impacting the communities is what's really going to be that big game changer. I think that's what I really want to see. I want to see us actually building with our community, like actually building things with our community. I don't believe that it's just going to be we're talking and you're just listening type of thing. I think it's going to be, hey, we're actually working with our community members towards something bigger. That's where I think that they're going to be moving. What do you think?
Yeah, I think definitely as we continue this, we're gonna continue to get more gain more traction, build up our momentum, what we're ready of right now. And I think once we're ready almost at this point, but like I said, it's gonna be a momentum thing. As we get more people who see us, who trust us, who start to like say, okay, I've been watching these guys for a while and let me actually see what they're talking about. Let's actually, probably reach out to them. I think we're gonna see more of that. And when you talk about like gatekeepers, that's another thing. I think a lot of people, the good thing is we have a few people who are like influential in society who are starting to become more open to like younger thoughts and younger ideas. And I think they're starting to see like, right, with this whole thing with the advent of AI and all that, they have to keep up. These young guys, they know what they're doing. These guys are, they're honest, they're trustworthy, and they're putting themselves out there, we're putting themselves there. And but like a lot of people, they might have the ideas, but they don't want to put themselves out there. Just now, when you put yourself out there, it's almost like you have to take arrows. You'll be willing to take arrows, and people will challenge you. I know everybody is built like that, but I really think that as we continue to work, CryptoNoobz will expand in the Bahamas, the Caribbean, and definitely beyond that. So yeah, that's just my thoughts on how I think 2026 is going to pretty much flow.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. The final question of this session is going to be, what do you think our biggest goal should be? One goal that tops all the others. What do you think our biggest goal for 2026 should be?
Boy, that's a loaded question, boy.
One single goal, one that tops all the others.
I think we should. I want us to definitely have something where we could actually give our community as far as like education, like package something where it's like, right, like if you want to really get started from A to Z, this is something that can help us with like definitely the course, or we're working on the course. So definitely getting that out. That would be a great goal, but it's so much other things. Like definitely we could probably we will host more live events. That's something we definitely want to work on. And definitely collaborations with the community, So those are definitely some. I mean, that's like three things I said just now, but it's like everything I think helps. Everything I think is going to help.
I think the biggest goal that I'm looking forward to isn't just collaborations with the community, but also collaborations with other crypto and fintech-based companies.
Yeah.
That's what I think is what I'm looking forward to the most. Just collaborating, different partnerships, sponsorships, what's not. Because, we have our own community, definitely, but we also want to teach our community about like other communities or what's not, and, try to expand also inside the crypto space, But we've actually hit our time, and this is the this is the end of the CryptoNoobz podcast for the year 2025. Any final words about?
I hope you guys have a great holiday, a great new year, and I hope all y'all stay safe going into 2026. And I hope all our portfolios grow, and that we will be wealthy in 2026. We'll be healthy in 2026. We'll be more knowledgeable in 2026, and we'll just grow overall 2026. So see you guys in 2026.
Yes. CryptoNoobz, let's get this. We're going to be doing this. We're going to be growing. Yeah. You guys have a great night.